Hello friends, welcome to day 7 of the challenge. You are halfway through, which is amazing. You've got this, and today we're going to chill out quite a bit. So grab 2 blocks and a blanket or a bolster if you have. I'm going to use a blanket just because I feel like more people will have that at home. We're going to start in a supported child's pose. So you will need your blanket or a bolster if you're using. Bring your big toes to touch, separate the knees. And you're going to place this blanket in between your thighs. So I have folded it a few times, so it's this kind of narrow vertical blanket in front of me. You can also even roll it more into like thirds, so it's a little bit higher. This is when a bolster is really nice, to be honest, because it's higher up. So the blanket or bolster goes in between your inner thighs, and then you recline forward. And you can rest one cheek down or bring your forehead down. Allow your eyes to soften or to close. And start to feel your hips melt back towards your heels. Even if they don't touch, it doesn't matter. Try to heavy your shoulders, soften them away from the ears. And then focus on breathing into your back body. Start to find a smooth and steady breath here in and out of your nose. And with each breath in, imagine filling up your low back, the back of your hips and your pelvis with air. And as you exhale, let your body soften. Maybe the pelvis rocks backwards a little bit more. Inhale, breathe into the lower part of the body, the back body. And exhale, soften. Keep the breath smooth and steady. Naturally, the breath may begin to slow down a little bit, which is a sign that your body's starting to relax, which is a sign that your body is starting to feel a little more grounded, a little safe, and your nervous system can start to follow. It can start to relax as well. Now, if you have one cheek down, just turn to the other side just to even out the neck. Drop back into the breath. Breathe into the low back. Breathe into the pelvis. And you can even imagine that you're sending loving energy towards the hips, the pelvis, the low back. This middle part of the body that supports us. It's really like the root of our body, keeping us feeling centered and grounded when balanced. And when the pelvis is a little achy, stiff, tight, or something feels stuck, then we start to feel a little out of balance. So today we'll really focus on just kind of releasing the low back. Now bring your hands by your sides, press up onto all fours, and come into a tabletop position. You can move any props to the side. Stack your shoulders over your wrists, stack your hips over your knees, and then from here, walk your knees back another inch. Take a breath in, and as you exhale, rock your hips back towards your heels. Try to keep the arms straight. Inhale, rock forward, bring the shoulders over the wrists, and exhale, rock back. Few more times like that. Inhale, rock forward, and exhale, rock back. So just do that a couple times on your own breath. Such a nice way to stretch the low back, the pelvis. And then from here, stretch your left leg out to the left. So your leg is about in line with the hip. And then do the same thing, rock forwards and rock backwards. And you decide how far back to rock. You decide the speed that you're going at. So this is your practice. It doesn't have to look just like mine. If you're doing it with someone, it doesn't have to look like theirs. You don't have to do what you always do. Just because you normally do one thing in yoga doesn't mean you have to do it each time. Take what your body needs today. Come back towards center with shoulders over the wrists. Let's take some cat-cows. Inhale, arch your spine. Curl your tailbone up, relax the belly. And then exhale, round. Curl your tailbone under. Inhale, arch. Exhale, round. One more time. Inhale, cow pose. Curl your tailbone up. Exhale, round. Tuck the tailbone under. Inhale, back towards center. Bring your left knee in, tabletop. Turn your fingers out for a moment and just rock side to side, just to stretch out the wrists a bit. And then turn your fingers back forward. Let's do the other side. Kick your right leg out to the right, leg about in line with the hips, and just start to rock backwards and forwards a few times. Getting into the right inner thigh a little bit, but also just opening the pelvis. So let your hips go wide as you rock back. And then come back towards center, take some cat-cows. Inhale, arch the spine. And exhale, round. Do that a couple more times, just moving with your breath. If there's a part of the body that feels a little stuck, notice it. And move very gently around there. So whenever there's pain in the body, or stiffness or tightness, it usually means that there's some sort of stagnation. It means that things are not flowing. And we don't want to force the flow, but we do want to start to get things moving very gently. Bring the right knee back into tabletop. Now from here, grab that blanket that you were using earlier, and you'll place it in front of you the vertical way. And we're gonna take a side bend. So bring your right hip right against the blanket or bolster, whatever you're using. Reach your right arm behind you. And then as you lean on your right side, you can just rest your head on your arm. Reach your left arm up, turn the palm to face where the crown of the head is facing. Sweep your top arm up and over your ear and make sure your knees are in towards your chest. And then take a moment just to settle in, get any fidgets out so that you really feel like you can relax here. Relax your top arm. If you feel any tenderness in the low back, you could bring your knees a little closer into your chest. And so this is a side bend. Start to breathe into your left side. And I won't tell you where you're supposed to feel a sensation. Of course, it's usually somewhere on the side body, but it's going to be different for everyone. So just start to notice, where do you feel the most sensation? And then can you soften there a little bit? Keep the breath full, keep the breath smooth and steady. If that top arm feels better down by your side, feel free to rest it down by your side. Do what the body needs. Stay for another breath or so. And then very slowly, no rushing, bring your hands by your sides. Lift the torso a little bit. And then rotate your belly, your ribs, your chest down and rest your front body on the blanket or bolster, coming into a twist. You can rest whatever ear feels best on the blanket or bolster. If you have a very short blanket, you might need to scooch it back a little bit. Relax your arms in whatever way feels best. Your legs might feel better stacked, or they might feel better a little staggered. Notice if there's any part of the body that's feeling tense or tight or stuck. And normally wherever there's a little bit of discomfort, there's stagnation. And so when things feel tight or stuck or a little painful, it means that things aren't flowing well. And so we want to start to bring movement into the body, but in a very gentle way, not by forcing, not by pushing, not by forcing ourselves to do things, but really just easing into them and listening to the body along the way. Stay for just a few more breaths here. And with your next inhale, begin to bring your hands by your sides. Push up, lift the torso, and all we're going to do is come to the other side. So you can just swing your left hip around. I'm just going to move my blanket so that my back isn't to you. Bring your left hip to the edge of the blanket. Reach your left arm behind you. And then come into your side bend. Bring knees into the chest. Reach your right arm up, turn the palm to face the crown of the head, and sweep your right arm up and over your ear. And take a moment to settle into this side. A brand new side. Notice what sensations are present. Do you need to make any adjustments? You know you're in the right spot if you can breathe fully. Not every yoga pose will be comfortable. Yoga is not actually meant to be comfortable. Sometimes it doesn't feel very peaceful. It's our practice, though, to move through the poses in a peaceful way. To keep the breath steady rather than short. To try to relax the body rather than tense up or grip. If stillness feels challenging, acknowledge that, but there's no need to judge it, just notice it. And then bring your attention to the feeling of the breath. You can keep your top arm as it is, or rest it down by your side, whatever feels best. And let's stay for a few more breaths here. Stay for another breath or so. And then we'll start to turn this into a twist. Bring your right hand down by your side. Press up. Bring your left hand by your side. Rotate the chest down towards the blanket and then come down and bring one ear to the blanket, whichever side of the head feels best. Rest your arms in whatever way feels best here. Relax the shoulders. Adjust the legs so that they feel like they're in the right position. Start to trust that your body knows what it wants. Every time you make a little adjustment, it's your body signaling to you that it needs a little change. And we'll stay here a few breaths longer. Try to keep the breath steady, keep it full. And let the shoulders relax, the belly relax. Breathe fully. Breathe into wherever you're feeling the most sensation. And now with your next breath in, bring your hands by your sides, slowly press up, move your props to the side, and come to lay down on your back with your knees bent and your feet flat on the ground. And then from here, you're gonna grab that same blanket and then lift the hips and slide the blanket underneath your hips. If you're using a bolster, you can use a bolster here. Make sure your hips really feel supported so it's not under the low back, it's a little bit lower. And then bring the soles of your feet together, your knees apart for Supta Baddha Konasana. And if you'd like to grab your blocks and place one block underneath each thigh for some support, feel free to grab the blocks. Rest your arms in whatever way feels comfortable. And we're gonna take some little cat-cow-like tilts with the lower body. So think about lifting the low back away from the floor and rock your pelvis forward as you breathe in. And as you exhale, rock your pelvis backwards, bring your low back closer to the mat. So rock your pelvis forward, inhale, lift the low back away from the floor. And then rock your pelvis backwards, exhale, curl your tailbone up. And just do that a few more times on your own. Our pelvis gets so stuck in the same position because we spend a lot of time sitting, whether it's at a desk, on the couch, or driving. And when we don't move things, they start to get stuck. They cause stagnation, which causes discomfort. So it's so important to bring little movements, bring awareness to our hips, our pelvis, to keep the rest of the body feeling good. Start to let those movements go. Just come back to a little stillness. And then from here, bring your feet to the ground. Lift your hips, slide the blanket from underneath you, and just slowly lower vertebrae by vertebrae. Bring your feet a little wider than hip bone apart. Bring your arms out wide to a T and start to knock your knees side to side. And then the next time you knock your knees to the right, pause. Let your legs be staggered. If you want to hook your right foot just above the left knee, do so. And as the knees fall to the right, rotate the chest to the left. Take a full breath in here. And a full breath out. And gently release. Bring your feet back down from the midline of your mat. Do a little swish of the knees, side to side. And then drop your knees to the left. Come into that staggered leg twist. If you want to hook left foot above the right knee, go for it. Maybe turn the gaze to the right. Soften or close the eyes so that there's less outside distractions. Feel what's happening in your body rather than thinking about it. Begin to come back towards center. Find the midline of your mat and then stretch your legs long on the mat. Let your arms splay out wide by the sides, palms up. Let your legs splay out. Soften or close the eyes and relax the jaw. Move the bottom teeth away from the top teeth. Relax the shoulders and the chest, belly, and hips. Notice if there's anywhere in the body that's gripping or tensing up, and just try to loosen it up. Try to soften. And if it feels nice together, let's invite a slow, deep breath in through the nose. Fill up your low belly with air. Open your mouth. Exhale, let it go fully. Again, like that, breathe in, fill up your low belly. Take an even bigger open mouth clearing breath. Inhale. Send the breath downward one more time. Hold at the top. Maybe sip in a little more air. And then take a quieter exhale out of the mouth. Come back to a normal breathing pattern. I invite you to stay here as long as you have. And this is where I will leave you. Thank you so much for practicing. I will see you tomorrow on the mat. Om Shanti. Peace.